Welcome to Hindsight Hacking. I'm Corey Carter.
And I'm Ron Cool, and we've talked to hundreds of entrepreneurs hacking their hindsight to give you better foresight.
And now we're bringing you those same great interviews along with other mindset hacks, visibility hacks, and traffic hacks, and more to get you all the tools you need to gain more visibility and gain more traffic.
And of course, gain more sales. So head over to gethhm.com/toolbox to get all the free resources to help you get more.
And so, without further ado, let's get to it. All right. We are joined by the one and the only Miss Marley Jaxx, someone who is an amazing entrepreneur who helps people get their omnipresent content, who helps get videos ranked on YouTube, who really helps get their cash flow going. So many different things, Marley, you've been doing to help all of us increase our cash flow. But more importantly, all the things that you do because of your big heart, from the donations, the charities, and everything. We definitely need to get into that. I heard you adopted a lion. We got to hear about that. But so many fun things, Marley. I know we have been learning from you over this last year, and so we are very, very thankful to have you here. But to the one and only Miss Marley Jaxx, welcome to Hindsight Hacking.
Thank you. What a nice welcome. And that's so cool that you paid attention. You knew that about me.
Yeah, we were excited. But you know what? Something feels off, Corey. What do you think? Something, hold on.
Something's a little off.
Something is. There.
I love that video.
There.
All right. Now it's better. Now we're Team Jaxx. Now we're ready to go.
Now we got Team Jaxx all over the place. There
Love
we go.
it.
We are good to go. So, Marley, yes, we've been following you. We've been learning a ton of stuff from you, and I know a lot of our audience has too. But for the people that maybe live under a rock that don't know who you are, can you give a quick little backstory?
I used to be a dental hygienist, turned social media manager, turned video marketer. And since then I've joined the ClickFunnels community and worked with some incredible entrepreneurs to help them build their omnipresence online, like you said, and to be able to drive leads through video to scale their audience and ROI.
Awesome. So how did you fall into, like, I've heard the story of how you fell into the social media management. So I'd love to hit on that a little bit, but then also, how did you fall into the YouTube and the video side of it?
Mm-hmm. So I was a dental hygienist, and I'm a very creative person, and your creativity is pretty limited just cleaning teeth day after day after day. So I was like, I got to figure out what I really want to be when I grow up. And before that, I had also worked in radio and entertainment, event management, and I had been in an environment where I was working with a lot of celebrities, and I kind of got my heart broken in that industry because there's a little bit of ego in that industry. So that's why I went back to dental. But I always had this background of like putting people on stages and the logistics and social media and putting together like promos and marketing for these events that I was putting on with celebrities. And then so at the dental office, because I just knew social media, I was like, oh, well, why between patients, why don't I just like play around on their Facebook page and promote content for them to get, put our name out there for this dental office. And then their IT guy was like, hey, you're good at this. Can I refer you to some of my other clients? Well, next thing I know, he's referred me to all of his clients. And all of a sudden I have a business that I didn't even know that like you can make money doing this. And then I wanted to get more clients so that I could, have a big enough cushion that maybe I could leave the 9-to-5 and start my own business. So I started making videos for myself, and some of them really started to take off. And then I was like, I wonder if I can do that for my clients to make YouTube videos for them too and get them clients. And so I started exploring that world, took a bunch of courses, just kind of learned by doing, learned by failing forward, until I got to where I am today of like teaching people how to use this content cash flow system that I created.
That is awesome. The one thing that I thought was super unique that you did, you reviewed your own videos. right?
Yeah.
And I was like,
That's fun.
holy smokes. Like Corey and I talk about just like our first podcast and we're like,
Yeah.
it was bad. But not only did you like embrace that, like you reviewed them, which was like what made you decide to do that?
It was just a fun little challenge of like, hey, I mean, you see those things on YouTube all the time, like cringing at my own videos. And I was like, I wonder what it would be like to look at those. Cause sometimes I reference them of, yeah, back in the day, like I would make videos and didn't know where to put the camera. So the angle was too low. So it looked like my eyes were closed. And I knew that, but I actually hadn't revisited them. So I watched them. And if you see the video, you see my reaction. Then I'm like, oh man, I like, that's worse than I remember. Or memories would come back of like, my grandfather lived with me for almost 4 years. And there was one video that I was watching that I was like, I remember how many takes I had to do because my grandfather kept making noise. Or like one video, I'm like, you don't know this, but I'm like squatting to get into the camera view because I didn't have a tripod at the time. All I had was like a stool and a stack of books. And so to kind of share the behind the scenes and be like, that's just, you can bootstrap it. You don't have to have all these excuses of, oh, I need to buy all this fancy filming equipment. Like, just do it.
Yeah, I mean, even for our own podcast, when we launched, we didn't have this microphone. We didn't have headphones or anything. Sometimes we just had the free headphones that we'd use, and you can hear it. The sound quality is awful, but at the end of the day, you could still do it. Like, you don't need to go spend a bunch of money. Totally. So, how did you like? You have multiple courses that you've built and developed, and you're creating content every day. Like what's your driving motivation now to keep going and keep building and keep tweaking and sharing your life on Instagram, right? Like what's that motivation nowadays?
That's a cool question. What is the motivation? Because it's not, I just want to grow and learn more as I'm going. And I have epiphanies while I'm teaching. So it's like I'm learning while I'm teaching, and then I'm just bringing people along for the ride. So like the storytelling concepts that I study a lot by watching movies or seeing what Hollywood is doing and turning that into your online content. It's almost like charisma hacking, funnel hacking, the media of what's happening around us that is so mainstream, and how do we infiltrate that into this marketing world? So I guess my motivation is just that like I want to learn and grow, and then just to have those epiphanies and to give other people those epiphanies is so exciting. And I love being creative. I try to push myself to be creative and find new things to get excited about every day. And I've recently started sharing about myself that I write poetry too. So like another thing is that I want to do is write a poetry book, and then also have a marketing book and teach just all these epiphanies that I'm learning. And as I continue to learn them, share them.
It's so fun when you start to unlock that creativity. And I'm sure you can only like brush your teeth certain ways, but yes. But once you unlock it, like the possibilities are unlimited, so it's crazy. I'm going to ask about it before Corey does. I want to know about adopting the lion. That's crazy. Like, like talk about adopting a lion.
I have a little certificate over here that's like Marley Jaxx adopted a lion. So it's the World Wildlife Foundation that you can actually adopt like any kind of animal that you want, and it supports their environment, their home, rehabilitating ones that need to be. And so I adopted 2 actually.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So you obviously have an affinity. I don't know if you have an affinity for lions in general, but it's in your logo. You have the Lion Share Award, right? Like you have that kind of stuff. Like, what is it about the creature, the lion, that speaks to you?
Yeah, it was not intentional. So when I changed my name earlier this year after my marriage ended, in the video where I announced my name change and had to kind of explain the background of it, I explained that. So first, what I did is I changed my name on everything, on social media, on everything, and then just went silent for a few days, and then, of course, messages and curiosity, and people were like, what is this? What's Jaxx? Who's Jaxx? Like, what's happening? And so I, went live with this video where I just shared, hey, here my marriage ended. And because of that, I'm going through a rebirth and a rebrand. And I've changed my name, and here's how it came about, because people were like, was it your maiden name? Where did this come from? And no, it's actually like a brand new name. And the story is I was with my mom, and I was like, Mom, I don't know what to do with my name, because I don't want my married name and my maiden name that I was born with is such a mouthful. It's Grunewald. So welcome to the stage, Marley. How do you say it? Like it served me well when I had it. But so I'm like, Mom, you named me once. I'm going through a rebirth. I need you to name me again. Just pick any name and I will agree to it. And because you don't get to pick your name when you're born. So I'm like, Mom, you need to just name me again. And I was like, but I want my name to make me feel the way that this lion makes me feel. I have this picture of this lion. It's on my wall, and it's just like so stunning and beautiful. It's actually my phone case and my phone background too. I saw it once at a store, and I just like stopped in my tracks and was like, that is gorgeous. Just the majestic feel of it. And lions, they're up before the sun. They get the first kill of the day. It's actually the female ones that are the providers. And so anyway, just this picture, I was like, I just love this lion, and I want my name to feel as fierce as that lion makes me feel. And 30 seconds later, my mom was like, Jaxx. And we're like, where did that come from? And she's like, it just popped in my head. I don't know, like it was just there. And so we Googled it, and Jaxx, the definition was someone that can overcome anything, any obstacles life throws its way. And I was like, well, that's how I want to approach life. And that's kind of what I've been put through recently. So that's it. So, and then after that, my audience hearing this story saw it as a story of perseverance and started sending me like lion gifts, and all of their posts had like lion emojis in it. And I was like, it just became part of like a symbol. I didn't necessarily choose it, just telling that story connected to it. And I love it. So we ran with it.
It's amazing.
So fun.
Yeah.
That got put together. That
Yeah.
is so crazy. I mean, I talk to Corey about this all the time, where, God puts stuff in your head, or whoever you believe puts stuff in your head at the right time for the right reason. And you either choose to take that step or you don't. And it's crazy that you were looking for something and it just popped into her head. And then the meaning behind it, like I don't believe in coincidences. So that's unbelievable.
Yeah. It was a really precious moment.
Funny story about that name change. I actually discovered you right after you made the change.
Okay.
And so I didn't know Marley before Marley Jaxx. And, and then I started looking backwards, or I signed up for one thing and I'm like, Beard or Baird, what? Yeah. Like I was very confused that first time. So, but definitely quickly figured out everything going on once, I watched some of your stories and stuff. So, all right. So I actually have been involved. I think I've gone through your Infinite Impact Challenge a couple times. And the first time I think I made it to like day 3. Oh. And I was very, very bad at that point. And, I just struggled being on camera, right? Like we're on camera now, no big deal. But it took a lot. Even that very first time, I remember it was a big struggle I think I did my first Facebook Live or something near around that challenge. So, but you've changed so many lives through that. And I know dozens of entrepreneurs that have gone through that. How did you come up with that challenge? And ultimately, I mean, you go live 5 minutes a day, right? You could turn that on evergreen, but you're still involved heavily. To walk us through that challenge, if you wouldn't mind.
So we had a done for you service, and we still do have the done for you service, but that was the only thing that we had in our value ladder. Was pretty much just consulting, like one-off, one-on-one, or the done for you service, which is high ticket because it's very involved and it's, you get great results from it. So we would have people get on sales calls with us and be like, I really want this. Oh, but I can't afford it. Or I'm not ready, like, because they have to be qualified at a place in their business, like they have the right systems in place so that we can be successful with what they have, like pour gasoline on the fire that's already existing. So we were like, well, I guess, how do we accommodate, how do we bring people up to the level? Like if our value ladder is just like a landing, how do I build some stairs on the way up that helps them to increase their revenue and also get the systems in place so they have like the lead magnets, the courses. And so since then it's evolved into teaching people how to create an infinite cash flow loop, that people can enter your ladder, but it doesn't mean that they're like, it's not just gradually taking each step. It's that they can go from front end to high ticket, down to core offer, down to like a different high ticket, down to like the front end. And so that's why we called it like an infinite cash flow loop. So I created the challenge to pretty much take our done for you service and turn it into a do it yourself 21 days where we create this whole system for you in 21 days. And it was great for me to learn, how do I, like, what is my process? Like, I just know it because I do it. How do I turn this into a bite-sized, step-by-step, day-by-day system that here I can teach it to you? And then once the challenge was over, like, I didn't realize how much it was going to create such an incredible community. And like, they named themselves. So the challenge is called the Infinite Video Impact Challenge. And they named themselves the Infinite Impact Army. Like, they chose that name. I didn't come up with it. They did. Then of course we made t-shirts, and cool that you're wearing one, Corey. But yeah, it was just like, how do I take what I do and be able to give them that result at a different time and financial investment?
That's so, we have a good friend of ours, Jim Beard, that goes through your program, and, he obviously speaks volumes about all the amazing stuff that you do to help him through that process. But I think it's smart how you were like, hey, it's not just a ladder. They can go here, there, because there's people in different parts of their journey that need different things. And as long as you can provide the value and you can give them something they're looking for, just because they didn't follow the right steps, I think so many people are rigid in this ladder that they miss out opportunities to help people.
Yeah, totally.
So I think that is in itself an amazing little thing. How did you decide to start doing that around, it's different than what other people are doing, but how did you decide to say, hey, let's create this loop where people can go in and out of different places?
I learned it and decided to do it because that's like what I learned along the way. Was I was just like, how do I get people into my high ticket service? And then when I created the challenge, which I had heard so much about, there was like a buzz around it in Inner Circle. But then what I found, and now what I teach, is like, people come through our challenge and then they ask, how do I create a challenge? And so when you listen to what the market wants, that tells you what solutions they need. And entrepreneurs, like, we are wired to provide solutions for people. So I was like, well, why don't I just take now my system of how I create a challenge? And that's the front end of your value ladder, AKA your infinite cash flow loop, when you use this system. And the great thing about a challenge is, like, for us, we do 21 days. There's different, you can do a 5-day, 7-day, 14-day, 30-day, like, it doesn't matter how long the length. But what I love about a challenge is it gets people into habits. Like, they learn new habits in the form of like skills and abilities that you're teaching, but they also get into the habit of consuming your content and being part of your community. So then when it comes time for the end of the challenge, before the challenge is even over, people are like, what's next? Like, how do I keep this? Do I join the challenge again? Do you have another thing? Like, do you have like a community so that we can stay together? And so that makes it much more easier and with less resistance to ascend people in your value ladder to the next step, or even jump 2 steps. That's why we started calling it a loop, that like, from our challenge, if we have 4 steps or 5 steps of our value ladder, they can go straight from 1 to 5 or 1 to 4 and then down to 3 and then up to 5 and then down to 2, because they're part of the community and they see the level of value and just the difference in deliverability at each step.
Nice.
So I'm gonna go back a little bit, because we're getting ahead of ourselves, I think, because your challenge is awesome, and I want to talk about the infinite cash flow. You just basically did 5 days, or workshop, right, in the mountains of Utah, and just, I love everything you're doing, and I'm curious about what's happening today. So, but before we get into that, we get a luxury of learning everyone's hindsight, because our mission here with Hindsight Hacking is to help others gain clear foresight through our guests and our hindsight. And so if you were able to go back to a younger Marley, give a little bit of advice with the knowledge that you have now, what advice would you give, and when would you have gone back to?
I would go back to, so I started my business in 2016. So I'd probably go back to Marley like a year and a half in. I would tell myself to hire before I was ready, but I would also tell myself to understand my numbers more, and that as much as it's exciting to invest in your business, to not overinvest. And so I had really relied on mentors and employees and thought that like I needed other people to, I really relied on, how do I word this? At the time, I didn't have the confidence in myself to make decisions just by myself. So I would hire people and really rely on their support. And I got to a place where I had invested so much. Like I really wanted to do a live webinar and be able to get people into my programs consistently. And the webinar, we would run it week after week after week. We would invest a lot of money in Facebook ads. We would keep tweaking it. And every time it flopped. And so I was spending so much money on ads. I was spending so much money on my team that I couldn't afford anymore. And I was just like, it's okay. It's okay. Like, I believe in myself. We're going to do this. But I like ran myself into a ton of debt. And the truth is, like, if I should have been able to, if I had what I have now, I would have been able to trust my own decision-making and not rely so much on other people, feeling that like I'm not strong enough, smart enough, whatever, to make decisions on my own, because that could have really put myself in a lot more danger. Like I could have lost my house. I could have, gone bankrupt. But luckily, I had Alexfin as an incredible mentor who was like, you need to stop the bleed. You need to let go of pretty much your whole team. And I had to fire 3 people in the same day. And it forced me to go into a place where I had to just rebuild on my own. My brother worked for me at the time, and I had a copywriter who I still kept on. And so it was a very slim team, but I was working like 8 hours a day on sales calls and then another like 8 hours in the evening fulfilling for these clients. But what it did is it forced me to learn myself of what does my market really want and how do I sell? Like I didn't know sales. I hired a salesperson and I overpaid them, unfortunately, at the time, because I didn't know. I learned by doing. And so, yeah, I guess all that to say, I would tell myself that you first of all know your numbers and trust yourself to make your own decisions.
That's both very powerful. Corey and I are through this whole process, same situation, but looking back at that statement, like I would love to know, like, was there a switch that went on besides Alex saying, hey, you got to do this? But in your mind, how did you prepare yourself to be the face of your company and actually do the things that you weren't comfortable doing?
Mm-hmm. I had no other choice. And I also felt like I didn't come this far just to get this far. If I was going to quit now, like I should have quit back then and back then and back then when it was hard. Like, why would I go through all of that to get here and then be like, well, it's over now. Like I was like, I have to learn from this. I have to learn and grow and keep going. And so it was just, here's what you have. And I look at that time as like those mistakes I made, and whether they're mistakes or they're just decisions, they were tuition. Like that was the tuition I had to pay to learn those lessons. And now I know my numbers because of them. And now I know how to build a 7-figure business that actually has profit instead of what I was doing 2-3 years ago. So it was just like, I have to do this, and I give myself no other choice.
Nice. So I know you were in the Russell's inner circle. You were involved with Alex Sharfin. I'm not sure if you still are, but who do you look to for guidance nowadays?
Alex, for sure. He's like my go-to. He will get like long Voxer messages from me where I'm like, hey, it's a what would Alex do day? Quick question for you. Steven Larson, and I guess my mom.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love you brought it back to family too. So that's gonna be cool. All right. So you just ended the challenge on the 24th, right?
So we had a challenge, and then I also did a workshop this past month too.
Nice. So I know one was you had a bunch of people on it. I loved the song on one of them. You created a song for
the event, Content Machine Live.
That was hilarious. I was laughing so hard. I would love to learn just a little bit about your creativity because I'm the creative guy, so I love that stuff. But when you come up with an idea, especially that song and the lyrics and all that stuff that you came up with, did you guys come up with it together? Was it just you? Was it somebody else?
No, it was me. And then I recruited friends to be in the music.
Steve was on the ukulele.
Yeah, well, Steve, like, I know that he plays the ukulele. And I actually, at first, my plan was for it to just be me. And then my nails are really long, and I like them that way. So I was like, vanity, or, this could actually be better this way. Right. So I called Steve, and I was like, hey, I know you're busy, but would you mind learning this song on the ukulele? And then would you mind doing this video with me? And of course he was like, yes, I'm in. And then I was like, who else? And then it just lined up perfectly. I was like, well, if Steve's going to be in it, then the other speakers at Content Machine Live, Christy, she's also in Boise. So we just went to her house. And then Alex, this was the funniest thing. I was like, I don't know if he's going to say yes to this or if he's just going to completely ignore this message. Because what a weird request to be like, hey, can you please send me a video of you bobbing along to music? And I'm just laughing so hard. I'm not going to I told him what it was for, but just trust me, it's going to be good. And I love that Alex was he got the best responses to that. And even he had just the best time in the comments saying I carried the group, and it was so funny. And even filming it, we're at Christy's house and we're filming, and Alex is it was a video on a loop. It was 10 minutes of Alex just dancing. And it's funny. So we'd be talking and be like, Alex, you're so good. Good job.
Alex is still cheering.
Yeah.
I mean, so stuff like that. I am not the creative one of Ron and I's partnership here, but we do fun things like making videos, right? Like your intro video, it's just something random. We'll do just random things, and we'll do videos, and it's something that's really set us apart in whatever area that we're doing it. Whether it's somebody did a challenge and we went and did our homework via video instead of writing up a challenge, and we just have fun with stuff like that. And so, what are your thoughts on just visibility and standing out amongst the crowd with doing something like that, like your request to Russell?
That reminds, when you said that of doing your homework via video, that I would always opt for that. And when I was in school, it's funny to look back on this. I totally forgot about this. Whenever we'd have a big project, instead of writing an essay, I'd be like, guys, want to make a video? And sometimes we would have videos of newscasts, and we'd be reporting the news, but it would be about this, whatever subject this was. Or I had one year in English class where I was supposed to write an essay about Catcher in the Rye. And instead I wrote Holden Caulfield's eulogy as written by his sister. And everyone else in the class was like, is she going to get a 0? That wasn't the assignment. And luckily my teacher fostered my creativity and actually had me perform it in front of the class. So I was I'm so grateful to that teacher. I think everyone has an English teacher in their life that has somehow changed their life, or at least hopefully they have, mine. But yeah, I always want to stand out from the status quo. Even my team, if they're watching, they're gonna kill me for this, but they keep wanting me to do these these reels or these TikTok videos, and they're fun to watch. I enjoy watching them, but I don't want to do them because I feel it's so trendy, and it's everyone is doing it, and I'm the reels don't pay the bills. I don't want to do it. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it in a way that is kind of making fun of it, or is something completely different. I don't know, with the Russell video, asking him to speak at Content Machine Live, I could have texted him and been like, hey, would you speak at Content Machine Live? But I wanted to do something that was going to stand out and be remembered.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I will tell you, I watched that multiple times. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to watch it again because it's hilarious. She's all, yeah. I love the whole concept of it. And yeah, I mean, Corey and I, we just started making fun little videos too. We had something around limited belief where I dressed up as a doctor and called it a limited belief syndrome. And it was kind of fun. So, we have fun stuff like that. And we did it just to have fun. It wasn't to get anything out of it. It was just, let's have some fun with it and be different. But, all right. So you have some stuff that you've already finished up. What are you working on now? What's next? What's next for you?
So I did a workshop in November teaching our infinite cash flow loop, and it went great. And it was really exciting to teach people. And then I was like, you know what, like the new year is coming. And what I'm really excited about is that, of course, that this year will be over.
Yes.
I mean, I'm grateful for this year. Actually, for as tough as this year was, I had the most probably personal growth, just in terms of like personal development and therapy and really realizing who I am. So I'm super grateful for that. And I hope that everyone else has taken the opportunity to take advantage of this time that we had. But so with New Year's resolutions coming up, it's a great time for your audience to be challenged. Like your audience in January, typically the gyms get, record signups, that new people are getting gym memberships or they're signing up for new classes or they're trying new things. People are up for a challenge. So it's time to launch yours. Like the first step of the infinite cash flow loop is a front end offer that could be a challenge. So I want to teach people how to build challenges. So I decided that all throughout December, I actually haven't launched this yet. I've been teasing it, but I'll tell you here first. Exclusive.
Sorry, that's my
cash flow for Christmas. So cash flow for Christmas, like a challenge of it's a free challenge for people that here's how to create your own challenge to create your infinite cash flow loop for the new year.
So is cashflowforchristmas.com, or is there not live yet?
It's not live yet. I just got live yet.
Is that the email that's going to be on Friday that I read today?
Oh my gosh, my team is going to be like, Marley.
Don't show them. Don't.
No one watched this. No one saw anything. There's nothing.
But everybody who's watching sneak peek, that's what's coming on Friday.
Nice.
Well, I know. I love. So I definitely got us the infinite cash flow blueprint, and I started filling out. And I love the interactive PDF, by the way. And it's really hard.
Worksheets, like that's another thing. Like if it's trendy or status quo, I don't want to do it. So I'm like, we're gonna make a blueprint, and it's gonna look like a blueprint. It's gonna be cool. It's not gonna be just like fill in the blank.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was just like, oh my gosh, yeah. Oh, it's the coolest thing I think I've ever seen. Like honestly, whoever has not got that, like, it is amazing.
Yeah.
But so we still got to complete it because we're slackers. So then maybe we can submit it and get on your show at some point. I don't know.
I'm going to be doing them all throughout December. So we'll trade. You need to come on the Infinite Cash Flow show.
Yes, but it's hard. You made it hard. Those are hard questions. I don't know.
Those are hard questions.
Then you can come on the show and we'll fill it out together if you need that. Just do it as best as you can.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, that's very nice. Yeah. All right. So you've got the workshop you just did. Content Machine Live was amazing. Your challenge is amazing. You launched a big coaching program that had way more things than I could ever remember. What's like your favorite thing that you're working on and doing? Because it is a ton. Yeah.
Content Machine Live was like such a highlight of the year. The content that I got to teach from it, the stories I got to tell for the first time, I loved that. And then my Content Machine coaching group is like my favorite thing to do. I was like, if all I did was just work with Content Machine coaching and then just create new content to bring people into it, like that's what I want to do. I have and write poetry. Then my life is complete.
Nice. So when's the first poetry book coming out?
You know what's so cool? I don't have it within arm's reach, but I got a gift in the mail yesterday from a guy named Jeremy Sutton. I was on his podcast and I mentioned the thing about the poetry, and I don't remember how it came out, but I was like, I do have a secret blog on the internet that, like, it's not under my name. You'd have to be really clever to find it, but I post some of my poems publicly. And he took that, he ran with it. He found my secret blog that's not even under my name, and he like published me a book of poems. What? And And so it's so my first one, I have 4. He printed me 4 copies of this book, 4 limited edition copies. So, but now I have to. I don't know. It probably won't be in the next year, but because I feel like what I'm writing about is what I'm going through right now. So once I have the happily ever after to that, I will put it in a poem book.
Gotcha. All right. So you had, first of all, your Content Machine Live, I think like you and Steve both, right? Like you did it and it felt like a live event. Whereas so many challenges, so many summits, workshops, everything that happened this year has just been like, oh, we're in our office and we're teaching, like, which has been fantastic. And it's been the need. But how did you get the idea, or what made you go do it differently?
It was also one of those things where I felt like I was forced. Like it was like you have no choice. Like you committed to this, and then the world changed, and that doesn't mean that like you change your mind. You can pivot, but don't take back from what you've already committed to. So I had committed already that I was going to do a live event, and I thought when I planned this that it was going to be in person. And so I thought, okay, well, do we just make it a smaller thing? How do we? And then that's where I started seeing. Who did I see do it? It was Steve that did it first, that I saw him do his offer lab at a studio in Boise, where it's like you're still on a stage and you can see everyone in front of you with the Zoom windows. So then instead of me just being in my office with Zoom open, it's like you still have the production. It's still very interactive. So after seeing that, my wheels start turning, and I was like, well, can I do that? And I loved it. It was so much fun, and I will continue doing that until we can do live in-person events.
Yeah, I was super jealous because we do content chop shop with Jim, and he has this little thing that you gave him.
Topper,
I was like, oh, what is that? Like, I want one of those.
Yeah. No, I never got my box, so I didn't see that.
You didn't?
I didn't, but it's all good.
Get your box.
Oh, it's okay. It's all good. You don't need us in the box.
It was a cool thing. And again, you're nurturing your community. Yeah. You're having them get things. He uses it in our other show. So like it got us to talk about you. So it's brilliant, but it's just a cool thing for people to use and interact with you. And that's again, what so many people kind of miss out in their communities. They're not giving them things to do.
Yeah. Totally.
You know?
So we were all involved in a surprise takeover Jim show.
Yes.
And everyone donated a few things, super small to, in your case, over the top. Like, tell me about all the things that you do, from the donating, give back mindset. I was only involved in a lot of things you did because of what you and Catherine did for OUR, and I just donated there, and that's how I got involved. So I was like, I can do 2 birds with 1 stone, and as far as give back to the world, as well as, be involved with stuff that you do. Like, tell me about all the different things that you're doing in the charity wise, and why you give back, and just so it's so amazing, everything that we see you doing.
Oh, thank you for donating to that, and thank you for saying that. I feel like that's never acknowledged, so that's really cool. I learned about Operation Underground Railroad from ClickFunnels, as many of us did, being at Funnel Hacking Live when they showed that incredible documentary. I also learned about Village Impact through ClickFunnels, and donated money to actually go to Africa this year to build a school that's postponed to next year. We'll see if that gets postponed again, but I just think it would be such an incredible experience to be able to go there and experience the culture and get to see the school that we were a part of building and fundraising for. So that was such an incredible experience. And to have also the ClickFunnels community support in that fundraiser was just so rewarding. And Catherine and I were thrilled. Another, about my lions that I adopted. And then another foundation that I love is the Zebra Foundation. And I just got the cutest little card in the mail from them. So it's for donating to kids who maybe are underprivileged and giving them art supplies. And so I got the cutest card that like they drew and put stickers all over, and it said, "We love you. Thank you for the colors." And like I teared up because I think about how I have like a business mind, but I'm also very creative and artistic. So I want I don't know. Wasn't necessarily like a painter or drawing or anything like that when I was a kid, but I want to be able to give kids that outlet. So that's another one that I really support and would love to find other causes and foundations to support kids and cultivating and fostering their creativity from a young age too.
That's cool. And it was called Zebra?
Zebra, it's Zebra something. I'm blanking on the name, but it's like Zebra Foundation or something like that.
That's
Zebra
killer. I love it. And that's part of the whole, is it Impact Jaxx? Is that what it is?
Jaxx Impacts, yeah.
Jaxx Impact. Dang it. I knew it there.
It's called Dreaming Zebra Foundation.
Dreaming Zebra. Okay. So we'll make sure that's Dreaming Zebra Foundation. We'll put that in the show notes for sure. All right. So let's see. What is, looking back kind of over the last couple months, what's been the most challenging piece of putting together these events or these things that maybe were something different where you had to learn something?
I have this quote. I have it on sticky notes all over because I need reminders of it, of that when you push the edges of your limits expand. And I think in anything that we do as entrepreneurs, we're constantly pushing that limit. And sometimes we feel that pressure and we're like, oh, it's hard. But then we need that reminder that, hang on, I signed up for this. Like, I want to grow. I don't want to be the same person that I was 3 weeks ago, 3 days ago, 3 minutes ago. Like, I want to grow. I want to push the edges. So, to think of how much we can experience in a short amount of time, that, and in way, like we are wired differently than most people. So I think it's been partly just capacity in the things that I'm learning and doing and signing up for. And then also capacity in mindset, that when things are hard, it's like, yep, you signed up for this. This is stretching you for it to snap into place and then to stretch you even further. And that when you grow and you reach the top of the mountain, it's like, okay, keep building. That's not the top for you to enjoy the view and just like settle down. It's, you're at the top, or like you've reached the goal, but there's no finish line. It's just like a checkpoint. What's next?
Yeah.
Love it. Marley, you've been amazing, but I have one final question to ask you before we wrap today, and Ron may have another, but for sure me. We are coming to a close. We're in the final month of this different year than any of us have ever experienced.
Wow.
What is your number one advice for somebody that is either looking to make things different in 2021, looking to leave that 9-to-5, looking to scale their business? Like, what's that one piece of advice that you have for them to move forward?
So I'm going to answer this in a bit of a roundabout way first. When I was I was a surprise kind of guest speaker at Steve Larson's event 2 weeks ago at Offermind. And someone asked me, what was the like surprise skill that you learned in addition to like the marketing skills? Like, what was something else or a talent or skill or ability that you had to learn that has really attributed to where you are today? And I didn't the answer came out of my mouth quickly, but I didn't realize that this was the answer, but it was empathy. Like, for me to grow into who I need to be to have the business that I want to have empathy in multiple ways, like with myself for what I experience and what I'm going through, and to learn and grow from that, the same way that I was like, hey, I made some decisions a couple years ago that were really tough on me financially. That was tuition I had to pay to go through that. And now I see that I pay that tuition to learn those lessons so I have the knowledge today. And I have to have empathy for myself of like, I had to grow through that. I had to learn from that. And I might call myself naive, or I might call myself adventurous because I was willing to go through that. And then also empathy for your audience, to understand your avatar, your demographic, what they're going through, because they're often looking at you as their hopeful transformation. Like, I ask so many of my clients this: when you're creating your products, your offers, your content, whatever, how much would you say that your audience is your before picture? like is you 3 years ago, that you like, if you could just speak, and it's cool that you've asked me several times throughout this interview, like, what would you say to like your past self? And it's similar things that I say to my audience, because I've gone through that experience, and that empathy of understanding the experience and understanding your customer's journey because you've been there is so important. And then that also translates into your content, into the stories you tell, into your sales page copy, whatever, because you can show rather than tell, because you've lived it, because you've experienced it. If you think of like the best actors or the most captivating movies that you're like on the edge of your seat, it's because these actors are showing, not telling. Like you get to feel the emotion. You are like on the edge of your seat when they're at rock bottom, and you cheer louder when they win, when they like get the girl or win the job or like win the race or whatever, because you've experienced it, you've watched them go through it. And so it's empathy for yourself and empathy so that you can connect to your audience.
So that is amazing that you said that, because Corey and I, when we were looking back at, who we want to serve, we started realizing exactly what you just said. Like it's us, like last year, or maybe 2 years ago. But again, we thank you so much for coming on the show and spending some time with us. And I'm sure there's people out there that are like, oh my gosh, I want to get into Marley's world. Where can people find you or connect with you?
I would love that. YouTube or Instagram, look up Marley Jaxx. My Instagram stories I treat as like my playground. I test my comedy, my material up there. So enjoy that with me.
Which everyone should, yes.
And your YouTube stuff is like perfect. Like your thumbnail, I mean, everything looks amazing.
Thank you. I enjoy it. So yeah, look up Marley Jaxx, or feel free to reach out on Facebook or go to our website, marleyjaxx.com.
Awesome.
All right, Marley, thanks again for joining us today. I can't wait. I hope anybody listening, watching, they see all the amazing stuff that you offer. They see all the big heart that you have, and they resonate with you, and head on over to marleyjaxx.com or Instagram or YouTube or Infinite Cash Flow Blueprint or Infinite Video Challenge. I don't know. I'm messing it all up, but there's so many amazing things that you're doing that everybody needs to get in.
Yes. Yes. All right, Marley, we're going to put you in the green room. We'll be right back, but we'll end up the show here. So we thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed Marley, because she is just such an amazing person. Just being in her presence makes me feel better about myself. So I don't know about you, Ron, but I assume you've got a few gold nuggets for us.
Holy smokes. I've got a bunch of takeaways, man. So let's talk about a couple of them. One, I'm going to plug her cash flow for Christmas that isn't out yet, that we don't know anything about. Make sure you keep your eyes open for that. But push your limits, guys. Like anything 2020 has taught, I know, us and the world, is you have to have different limits and different ideals. And how are you going to push yourself to learn and grow, which is something that Marley talked about a lot, is putting yourself in a position to learn and grow. And then paying tuition, I thought, was an amazing way to look at struggles. People pay for college and do all this stuff, and they're dumping thousands of dollars into stuff, but one bad thing happens, they're like, oh, what happened? Right. So I love that. The other one I thought was huge, and we didn't talk enough about it, was reinvent yourself. Like she went through something hard, and she reinvented herself in a very powerful way. And you know what? You can do that at any point in your life. Reinvent yourself.
Yeah, so true. Definitely. I never even really thought about it that way. So love that. All right. So growing while teaching, like we talk about this a lot, right? Like at the end of the day, when you learn a concept, when you learn a strategy, when you learn a new skill, the best way to really master it is to teach it. So why not, as you grow, teach it to those around you and those following you? And I know you mentioned this, Ron, but the quote itself, push the edge of your limits and your limits will expand. Thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate you watching, and definitely find us in facebook.com/groups/now22. Head on over to iTunes, find Hindsight Hacking, download, subscribe, rate, review, and December 8th, our 100th episode party happening very soon. You got to come check it out.
Guys, thanks for being the best part of the Hindsight Hackers community.